I was about to cuss you out, but turns out the microphone that I thought you lost the little magnet to actually ended up just being attached here. So you're welcome for not being mad at you.
Thank you.
If you've tuned in to see if you can argue with your spouse and still be madly in love, you're in the right spot.
I'm Kent.
And I'm Annie.
And we're the Kilkos. Sound like a game show.
We're your host of Life's Little Arguments. We're not trained experts in love and marriage. Actually, we might be quite dysfunctional, but we have been happily married for 16 years.
Debatable.
Not only will we share all the ups and downs of marriage, but the ins and outs of raising his and her kids, growing through new jobs and opportunities, and our latest obsession, our empty nest babies, our dogs, Blakely and Lincoln.
So if you hear ding, ding, ding across the microphone, they're probably walking across the floor.
Listen in each week while we discuss our life, current events, random TikToks, and the little arguments that undoubtedly come up. Whether you're in a long-term relationship yourself or in a fresh new relationship, we hope you find our podcast fun, entertaining, and helps you realize there is a normal in life's little arguments.
Electronics are hard today. They are not electronicking, and probably can hear the frustration in my voice right now.
Sometimes it be like that, but let me ask you this. You, at the intro, you said that you thought that I lost a magnet that goes to the back of this microphone. Mm-hmm. Okay. Keep in mind, I have not been here on these last 3 podcasts.
Okay, keep in mind, they have been lost since I did use these to do what? When was the last time I used these?
Oh, at one of the listings.
Uh-huh,
okay.
Yes.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm. But you found it.
Apparently, yes.
So I accept your apology.
Yeah. Did I say I was sorry?
No, but you wouldn't. But so I tell myself I accept your apology since I know that you're not an apologizer.
I apologize when I'm in the wrong.
Rarely. A few days later, but I
can't help it. I'm not wrong very often.
I've already forgotten it by now. And when you finally apologize, I'm like, well, what are you apologizing for? Because it's like 3 days later.
Right, because I'm hardly ever wrong. So I can see why you would.
Must be nice. Yeah. Must be nice to be that good at stuff.
So
you think I could do an entire podcast and use this voice right here?
No.
Can I get you a 5th sandwich?
No. I don't think you could, nor do I think you should.
You don't think so?
No. So I am enjoying this setup a little bit more than the 2 chairs. It's just a little bit more cozy.
Yeah.
I still want to repaint this room. I hate the color. Every time I look at a video of
brand new color, but you hate it.
I love
that about you.
It just turned out to not work out.
You know, it looks great with your eyes, though.
But I don't think we were doing the podcast when this first got painted, so I don't know that can be held responsible.
Well, we had not started it. You intended to make this the podcast room.
No,
hence the reason we got the rug, the chairs.
Not when we first painted. I don't think that was like in the universe because whatever. But we've hung that little sign over there. Life's Little Arguments, neon sign. I almost said vinyl, because we need it and because Colby got it for us. But now that I've adjusted things, it needs to be, I think, it needs to like come over or something, somehow make this work.
I think what we need to do is we need to get something.
we just need to readjust everything.
Yeah, we need to get something you can put it onto besides the wall. Because
I would agree
with your tendency to kind of change your mind, which is your human design, it's going to get moved again, and there are going to be some rather large holes in that wall. Probably. But if we're going to repaint anyways... But here's the thing. I'm not going to agree to repaint until we finish painting some of the other things.
Sure. Anytime you want to jump in there and start on it, go ahead.
No.
You said
that you were going to get the urge to finish painting the trim in Lauren's room.
Yeah, maybe.
And you have not done that yet.
Okay, well.
And the bathroom.
If I get the urge, I'm going to paint whatever I want to paint.
Okay.
And if it doesn't end up being that trim, it'll just end up being that trim.
You ain't hard.
You can go in there and finish that trim just as much as I can.
Okay.
That was a joint project. That was not an Annie project.
Okay. Is this what we're going to do today?
I think that's just where the vibe is today. I think the vibe has kind of been that all day.
So do we need to fucking stop the show then? Like what is the point?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what the point is. I think the point is I think we need to shake it up.
Okay.
So I think I'm firing you.
Oh, shit. I did not see that one coming.
You didn't see that coming?
Wait. So, hold on. So, I have not been on this podcast in, 3 episodes?
I can't remember.
Two or three episodes.
I don't understand. Also, what is on the wall behind me?
I don't know.
Like,
Squirrel.
how did that? What it looks like oil.
But hold on, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So I've not been on this podcast in 2 or 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. You've been saying I need to get back to it.
Correct.
And then I get back to it.
Yeah.
And you are now firing me.
That's
not a private firing. Like, hey, I'm just going to ask someone else to come onto the show, but a public firing.
I don't want there to be rumors, so I'm just like addressing it in public.
Okay. Just putting it out there.
Just putting it out there for everybody.
You do realize I'm talent, right?
I've realized in the last couple episodes that I don't think that you are.
Okay. Well, cool. I think what I'm going to do.
What? You're going to start your own competing podcast?
It's been tossed around. Trust me, it's been tossed around.
Yeah, you don't know how to do all the back end stuff.
We'll figure that stuff out later.
Okay.
The person I'm talking about doing it with can probably figure it out, but
he definitely can figure it out.
But I think what I'm going to do, just for shits and giggles, is I'm going to go pull some of the stats.
Okay.
And I'm going to pull the stats of with me.
Yeah.
And without me.
Okay.
Strong suspicion the with me is probably going to outperform the without me, but we'll see.
I want to know where are you going to go pull these stats?
I'm going to go look on YouTube's, and
you are.
I'm going to go to Spotify's.
No, wrong.
And why?
You're not going to get it from Spotify.
Why? It tells you how many views and how many listens and all that stuff.
No, that's not where you're going to get it.
Okay, well, I know how to get to it.
Okay.
So once I get
Doesn't sound like you do.
Well, that's what they got Google for, and that's what the YouTube is for.
Is it now?
Yeah. So I
love YouTube.
Once I figure that out, I'm going to see.
Let's be honest. That is not your strong suit. You're not inclined to go.
It's not my strong suit.
Search something.
But you know, it's definitely not my strong suit. A public fucking firing on my own podcast that I'm a part of. That is not my strong suit. And my reaction to it is not my strong suit either. So, anyways, I'm going to do everything I can not to hurt. I'm going to do everything I can not to hurt anybody's feelings.
You were so loud
on this episode. So you know what? Again,
you're trying not to hurt my feelings on this episode.
Just for shits and giggles, if this is my last episode, I'm going out with a bang. Trust.
Oh, okay.
Trust. So bring up whatever you want to bring up. Miss, I'm going to fire you in front of everybody at the beginning of the show and not even mention it at all.
Well, why would I mention it beforehand?
Okay.
Would you have come on if I said I'm fixing to fire you on here?
Come on with it.
Would you have come on the podcast if I said I'm fixing to fire you?
Yeah, I would have. I would have just been prepared.
What would you?
I would have had some notes. I would have already gone and done my stat findings.
Oh, okay.
I would have already looked up the YouTube stats, the Spotify stats.
So when I said to you today, listen, it is a lot on me to have to come up with what we're talking about on every single episode. Could you possibly provide some input?
But okay, so can I elaborate on this?
Sure.
So she tells me, Ken, I want you to listen to this podcast. So she's already told me these people are boring. She's mentioned it multiple times, but she says, but I want you to listen to their podcast. It's a couple. I'm guessing maybe around the same age, whatever. And so she just starts playing it. And I'm like thinking to myself, you're right. They are boring. Literally about to fall asleep listening to them. Well, then she goes into one of her little, little hissy fits, and I'm like,
not a hissy fit.
What's the big deal? You were like, God forbid you actually come up with a topic. I was trying to let you listen and see some of the stuff they're talking about, and I was like, well, all you have to do was say that.
Then I did. I did say it. I didn't say it the way you're saying. I said it.
Topic, is like stuff you did as a child, like your childhood growing up, how you became the person you are today, blah blah blah. So I said, well, here's the thing, Annie, is your human design. No, this is bullshit. No, this is bullshit right here. Your human design is such that when you want to learn something, you want to whatever, you're going to dive in. You're going to listen to this entire freaking podcast from these other people that I don't think are very entertaining. Me, all you have to do is just tell me the topic. That's literally the only thing you have to do. I don't have to go listen to someone else's.
You're still missing the point. The point was, it would be nice if you could jump in and throw some topics out yourself.
Sure. I do every now and again. I do every now and again. And I had to realize that you were at the point where you needed me as talent to also do that part. I'm happy to do that.
I'm sorry,
But-
to also
but-
do that point.
but do you
also,
know-
also means you're doing something else. So what else are you doing for this?
First of all, I have added notes. When I have an idea or something I want to talk about, I'll add a note on there. And we have a shared note, and you know that it's fair and that's factual. But I didn't know that you were stumped on what we were going to be talking about.
I'm not stumped. I'm in a, like...
writer's block? Are you like
a writer's block?
Called
like
being stumped.
It's not stumped. Like I could come on here, but I'm trying to think of something that is going to be interesting. That's not like an argument. Clearly, can't come up with anything that's not an argument to talk about. And I'm just asking, can you provide some input? Like you've not put a note in there in a very long time.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So that's literally what I was asking for.
Well, maybe the approach was the wrong approach because here's the thing. For the last handful of weeks, my mind has been going 90-0 on real estate stuff. And it's one problem after the other. After fix this and got that and got... So forgive me for not being focused on what our next podcast topic is going to be.
I don't expect you to be focused on it, but when I'm asking for some input,
yeah,
your response to me was, all you got to do is give me a topic and I can go. Well, that's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for help bring a topic to the table.
But the answer is not listen to this podcast and expect me to read your mind on what you're freaking thinking.
My bad.
But see, you're being a smartass now.
I'm not being a smartass. My bad. I should have known that you don't actually listen to podcasts, that you can't actually
It's not
listen
necessary.
to these things.
It's not necessary
cool.
if you want my input for me to listen to someone else's podcast.
Cool.
I mean, and honestly, I don't think this is what you want, but I certainly don't want to sit here and regurgitate someone else's.
No, clearly I don't want to do that.
You know, because their childhood is not the same as my childhood. I mean, you know, obviously there's certain things. They played Oregon Trail. I'm sure I played Oregon Trail. They hit bombs with an Easton bat. I hit bombs with an Easton bat. I mean, you don't, you know, ultralight, by the way. I mean, so let's talk about our childhood. But seriously, that's kind of how we got on this topic. Is like, I think when we started this podcast, we just said, hey, here's kind of where we are at 40 something and 40 something and married, and here's where we are. But we haven't really kind of talked about how we got to who we are today.
Really wish I'd have taken a puff of my inhaler before we started this.
Oh, Jesus.
Feeling like I need. I'm like feeling a
well,
little...
if it sounds a little raspy, you know I like that.
Well,
so.
I don't. Yeah, raspy's fine. It's like, you know, when I actually cannot get oxygen is when it's like, meh.
You feel like you're
feeling a little
where's your
like,
inhaler? Is it something I can grab for you?
Like this. Hold on a second. Okay, so I've done the whole. Do you want to do like puff puff pass? Is this what we should do with the inhaler?
Are we recording? Are we recording?
Yes.
So we had a pause for the cause. Literally, she felt like she was going to have an asthma attack.
It's not that I felt like I had an asthma attack. I just felt like I was constricted. Like I wasn't breathing very
honestly,
well.
I feel like that if I had to come on and publicly fire talent, it would probably cause me to feel like I couldn't breathe either. So I get it. I'm glad that you were able to hit pause for the cause and go get your inhaler.
Clearly what it was. OMG.
So anyhow, I need to know before I continue.
Okay.
Am I still fired?
I think we probably should do this.
Well, more importantly, am I getting paid tonight?
Based on the way the day is gone, I don't see that in your future, but I think there's always time
but
for you.
You're saying there's a chance.
There's always time for you to turn it around, possibly.
All right.
But you got to do something. Like you got to give a little. Like you're going to have to do something besides like grab my butt, grab my boob kind of thing. Like that's not going to do it for me.
I don't ever grab your butt. I rub it. I don't grab it. I'm not a big butt grabber.
You smack it.
I will grab
touch
your boob.
it.
Not going to lie. I will grab your boob.
Anyway.
You don't like that?
I don't know. I'm just in a mood right now. The electronics are
no. You know what's funny though?
Me.
Here's what's funny, guys.
What's so funny?
Audience. That this I will ask her. What's going on? Where you? I will ask her point blank what's going on, and she will tell me every time. I ain't got no vibe. I ain't got no issue. I'm like, you know what? You're right. You're right. Out of all these years, I don't know how to pick up on your vibe. I don't know how to pick up on your mood. It's always me that's wrong. Even though her human design.
It wasn't a vibe. It's not like I woke up with this vibe. It was you gave me this vibe after the answer that you gave me in the conversation that we had, and I said such. I said, no, it's not. My energy's not off. You've irritated me. Yeah. Like that. They're two different things.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
So is the energy off because you've irritated me? Absolutely.
Your makeup
is
does
my
look
energy
good
just
today,
off because it's off? No. Thank you. I tried something new.
I know. The more I look at it, the more I like it. It was a little different than what you normally wear, so I
I
wouldn't.
think just it's a darker. Like I think I might need to go back and get a light because it's the fair, and I don't know how much fair I can go as far as that.
No,
like their,
yeah, no. I think the color's
they're
fine.
tints,
Honestly, I think what it is it looks more like you have makeup on versus you don't always look like you have makeup on.
Okay.
In a good way, but it looks more. Yeah, I don't know the word. Intentional. I don't know.
I don't know.
But it looks good on you.
So
I'm sure it looks good on the camera.
It's
too.
a makeup that I got, because I'm trying to, I'm doing the whole TikTok shop thing. So I'm trying to.
Whoop, whoop. My girl got her first sale on TikTok shop.
I got my first sale on TikTok
What did
shop.
you sell? In fact, it was your.
It was my portable nebulizer. Yep. And so I made another
that
video.
thing really is the shit. I mean, I don't have asthma, but if I did, I would be on that thing everywhere I go.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the first video that I did, the one that got the sale, is me showing like my huge medical.
I think I gave you that idea to do that, to show the two. But anyways.
I don't think you did. But the medical nebulizer, because it's ginormous.
It's loud.
It's loud. You got to plug it into a wall. And
it comes with its own big bag when you travel, tubes, everything.
Yep, all the things I was going to say and all the things I said in my video. But anyway, so the little portable nebulizer is very helpful. And matter of fact, like the asthma has gotten so bad. It's so out of control right now. I don't know if it's, I feel like it's maybe the grass. And because they're out in the grass all the time, like between the scents of the sheets and then the grass, all the things, like it's just on another level and it's killing me right now. I literally woke up in the middle of the night, which is another nice thing about this nebulizer because it's quiet, is I have the medicine already in it. So I know in the middle of the night, if I feel like I'm gonna have an asthma attack, or it's not really an asthma attack, it's just, I can't breathe. It's the like that. I turn it on, I take the treatment, and
I don't even realize you're doing it.
You don't even know I'm doing it. The dogs don't realize I'm doing it, and so it just makes it really easy.
I think I've said this before, but I feel like the older you have gotten, the less reactive you've gotten to spring allergies and the more reactive you've gotten to winter time. I think that it affects you more in the winter than it does even, and that's, I'm talking even the height of pollen season.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, I don't know if your body's just adapted to spring and summer in Georgia and it's maybe still adapting to.
I don't know.
It's
and
crazy.
It's weird because I notice when it's colder outside, my asthma is worse, and when we had the streaks of it getting warmer, it was better, which totally mind fucks me because I'm like, that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
That totally
seems backwards.
I feel like it should be backwards.
Yeah.
Anyway, so how did we even get on that topic? Oh, the TikTok
congratulations on your first sale
Thank you.
on the TikTok
basically,
shop.
I can quit my 9-to-5 now because
you
I'm
also
retire.
can refer to yourself as talent at this point.
Sure. And so, but that's a job. That is a job in itself because you have to be extremely consistent, which we know for me is not my strong suit. Like I am, do one thing, learn it, get bored with it, move on to the next thing. So I'm really working on trying to be consistent with this.
I'm lucky you've not gotten bored with me over the years.
You are lucky, yes. Yeah. And so I'm trying to stay on this track of doing, what I'm trying to do. And anyway, this makeup was one of these things that I wanted to try because I saw all these ladies doing this particular makeup. It's supposed to be for mature skin, which obviously I'm mature. And I thought, oh, what the hell, I'll try it. And so
I have had to try.
My second time wearing it, so we'll see.
I've had to try to be more intentional with like walking around the house, because I know you're doing more of these videos, and so if I hear, like as I'm going into the other room, I'm listening because if I hear you, then I know not to go in there or be quiet or whatever. Or if I hear you in the bathroom, I got to be real careful not to come around the corner, with a shirt off or underwear, whatever. That would be bad. You
should come out for sure with your shirt off. Let's see if that helps with the views. Yeah. But yeah.
I don't need any dad bod jokes.
Naked, not so much.
I don't need, yeah.
So, I had a troll. I had my first troll.
Yep, you did.
We went to,
You're talking about Jess.
I'm talking about Jess. So we went.
Faceless Jess, by the way.
Faceless Jess. So we went to the mountains this past weekend. We've not even talked about this. Do you realize this?
Well, yeah.
Oh, so we went to the Blue Ridge Mountains and got a cute little cabin up there. Took the dogs. The kids came up for a night or two, and while I was up there, a TikTok that I had made during it was your colonoscopy TikTok.
Yep.
And Jess came on there talking about, my content is garbage.
This is a dumb video, but I'll give you a comment to help you content.
Yeah, and so I was like, yeah, thanks. I whatever. And we went back and forth a couple of times, and then a couple of my friends came in, and then I think you came in.
Now keep in mind, Jess doesn't have a face. Jess doesn't have any followers. For all we know,
she has no videos.
And it could be a he. Jess could be
a
guy or a girl, but it could be a robot. We don't know. But Jess started
bots work on
but
there.
Jess exactly. started popping off a little bit. Well, then Annie kind of pops off, and then our friend Nicole pops off, and then I pop off, and then it just became, we're trying to figure out who Jess is. I go look at my TikTok, Jess done search my profile. Like we got some conspiracy theories we won't talk about.
Jess thought we were bothered, but it really seemed like Jess was bothered. And then at the end of it, Jess is like, I'm just a college kid in between classes trying to. First of all, she called me a
boomer.
Boomer.
That's honestly what
activated.
That's what activated Annie. It was the boomer everything. Comment.
The boomer comment. And then, Nicole comes back on and she's like, anybody can use Google there, sweetie. A boomer is, age whatever. 60 to 70 or something like that. And Jess comes back and she's like, clearly she can't be a day under 60 or something. And that's what I really wanted to cut a bitch. But I didn't. I just kept it nice and light. And, I basically just kept coming back and saying,
so y'all go to her TikTok.
It's garbage content, yet here you are continuing to comment. And honestly, I'm here for it because all the trolls that troll, it just gets me more engagement. So
y'all go to the colonoscopy TikTok and go make some comments towards Jess. That'll be fun.
We should definitely get her riled back up. So anyway, so that was interesting. So then, we had our own little conspiracy theory of, okay, well, hold on, who is Jess? And then we were like, I think Jess actually knows you. Like, this just seems a little too familiar and like trying to get under your skin.
We were just being stupid at that point.
Yeah, we were just being stupid. So then it was like, well, maybe Lauren is Jess. I don't see Lauren in the same room every time Jess comments.
And they were saying it was Ashley. We were like, we've never seen Ashley and Jess at the same time. And
so anyway, it was fun. But we had a pretty good time. It was cold. It was very cold.
It was windy.
It was windy. We didn't really do anything, which for me was really nice. Like it just, even though, not that I have a super exciting, fast-paced life right now, but it was just nice to kind of get away. Wasn't on Facebook. We didn't take a single picture.
You couldn't have much. The service up there was terrible. So I was a little disappointed we didn't get pictures. I mean, I I'm a big picture taker, and the fact that we had the kids up there with the dog, like I wish we'd taken more pictures, but it is what it is. So
we'll have a chance to do more pictures.
We need to get family pictures, by the way.
We really do.
I mean, ours are from circa 2014, maybe.
I don't know.
They're old.
A long time ago.
They've been there for a hot minute. So
we do need to do that. So what I was going to talk about is this other podcast that I listened to, and they're kind of our age, and they're talking about like how they were raised and how that impacted them parenting today. And I thought, okay, well, I don't know that we've gotten super deep into that. And I thought it might be fun to kind of think back on that.
Yeah.
And I think the way that we were raised probably is different because my parents are divorced, of course, and you didn't experience that, right?
Not with my parents. I mean, they had both been married before, but not together. So
okay, and so when you were in school, let's call it elementary school.
Okay, Miller Elementary.
Sure.
I used to walk to school every day. Like
Okay, so that's good. That's good. Let's talk about that.
So I used to walk to school every day. I don't know. It's probably, let's just call it half a mile from school, right? But I remember there was a fence that I would walk by, and they had a St. Bernard. Now, a St. Bernard in Georgia, you never see it, but it would come running at you, and it had the big old barrel on its neck and stuff like that. And we would...
This St. Bernard...
St. Bernard.
The St. Bernard in Georgia, it legit had a barrel.
Yeah, it was a small barrel, but it was a sure enough barrel, just like you envisioned.
What were those for? Weren't those... Didn't they have like alcohol or something in them?
I'm sure. Because those dogs used to be like sled dogs, and they'd go miles and miles and miles.
I need to Google what that was actually for.
But I think that's what they either kept liquor or water or something like that in the barrels. But anyhow, he used to always come charging at us, and we would like, I don't know, harass it, kind of mess with it or what. Not like be mean or anything like that, but just try to get him to go. So,
you can't get us kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's core memory that I have of walking to school every day.
Okay, so you walked to and from, or just to school or from school?
I definitely walked to school. From school, I mean, I'm sure I did. I didn't ride a bus, or I would every now and again. Like if I went to, I had a friend named Andy. He lived in a different neighborhood. So if I rode the bus, it would be to go to his house. Had a friend named Alan who lived near the school. He and I'd walk back to his house. So this was
elementary school.
Yeah.
You walked home from elementary school.
Yeah.
So when you got home, who was there?
No one.
Okay.
Yeah.
In elementary, no one was home.
No, because my dad worked until 4:30, 5 o'clock. Whatever. He worked for the city, so whatever time he closed. And then my mom worked for the base, and she worked till, I don't know, 4 o'clock or whatever. So
you came home alone?
Yeah.
But where was Angie?
Well, when she was in elementary school with me, she would have been there too. And of course, my cousin Matt lived right down the street as well. Uh-huh. He's, I don't know, Angie's 2 years older than me, so Matt's probably 4 or 5 years older than me.
Okay.
So anyhow, and then of course when Ange went to junior high, I was in the 6th grade, 5th grade, or whatever. So that kind of changed things a little bit. But I was old enough at that point to walk home by myself.
So do you remember what that was called back in the day?
Independence? Like I don't know what you're looking for.
Latchkey kid.
Oh.
So you were a latchkey kid.
What is a latchkey? Meaning I have my own key to the house.
Correct.
I got you. Yeah. I guess I've heard that term before. I never really used it myself, but yeah, I guess I was.
And kind of, I feel like...
You come home, make a snack. Mm-hmm. Yeah, make a sandwich, peanut butter and jelly sandwich or whatever it is that you're going to do.
And then what did you do?
I would try to get started on homework because it was almost guaranteed. Like I played sports year round. So it was guaranteed I was going to have practice or a game or some version of that every evening. So
even at elementary school?
Yeah. I mean, what do you mean?
I mean,
You don't think we played games in practice? Jackson played sport. I mean, Jackson played raw. I mean, it was the same deal, except I played football, baseball, basketball, and soccer growing up. So it was like all year round.
I forget that.
It was exhausting.
So when you didn't have sports, what did you do? Let's say in the summertime.
Baseball. There was never.
Oh my God.
There was,
okay.
And I'm being for real.
So you came home, you made a snack, and you tried to do your homework.
Yeah.
And then your parents came home.
Yeah.
Okay. So was there ever a time where you came home, you made a snack, and then you left? Like you went to play with your friends?
No, if it was, it would have been Matt, like lived right down the street. Or like I said, I would go to Alan's house right from school, or I'd go to Andy's house right from school.
Right.
But I didn't have a lot of friends that lived around me per se. Tebow did, but he was down the road a little bit, and he was Angie's age too, so he was a little bit older than me. But we get out there and shoot basketball and that kind of thing. But most of the time, if I was going to be around friends, it was over at Andy's house or Alan's house or Jar's house. Like Jar. And
how did you get there?
You walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was close enough to walk, but it was closer than the Waffle House we tried to walk to that one day. But yeah, because I rode bikes, but I was never like great at riding bikes.
And so it wasn't in like a little neighborhood, like right now today, if you were raising kids and you had the elementary kid in our neighborhood, would you let them after school, like after they've had their snack and stuff, like go to the neighbor's house 2 or 3 houses down?
Yeah, absolutely.
And play, walk there?
Yeah, 100%.
Would you let them walk all the way to the other end of the neighborhood?
100%.
Really?
Our neighborhood's not that big. We don't live in Southfield. I mean, we have 68 homes in this neighborhood.
Okay, what if you were still living in a house like you were living with when you were growing up? Would you let them walk to the friend's house?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because it wasn't a subdivision, it wasn't a neighborhood, but it wasn't that far away either.
So you have no concept of like kids being like kidnapped and taken. You don't have that trauma of like they're gonna get. It's the blonde-haired kids. They're the ones that get snatched.
Well,
were you told that growing up, or is that just me?
I was never told
the
that.
The blonde-haired, blue-eyed kids. Those are the ones that were on the milk cartons.
Honestly, there's probably some truth to that.
Even though the milk cartons were black and white, so you don't really know that.
Yeah, there's probably some truth to that, but no, I don't feel like I ever worried about that, or my parents ever really worried about that. No.
I'm not saying you didn't worry about them. I'm just saying you worried about it as a parent.
As a parent, no, but our kids didn't really do that either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to say would I have worried about it, because they really didn't do that.
Jackson, when we lived in Gray, he our neighbors right beside us, that's who his
That
friends
was
were.
literally right next door.
Literally right next door. So he would go with them, but pretty much not really anywhere else. But I just thought that was interesting. So in elementary school, I want to say that Mom had somebody there when we got home from the bus. I want to say it wasn't until we moved and she got married to Gary that, I started coming home, or we would come home off the bus by ourselves with nobody home, which, was almost middle school at that point. So I don't feel like I did it in elementary, but I'm not sure. But it's just kind of different, like talking about, what we did, we were unreachable. It wasn't you had a cell phone to get in touch with anybody all the time. Like, we took off on our bikes and we were just gone for hours and hours. I remember riding up, we had this, we would ride up to the store. And when I say ride up to the store, it wasn't just right around the corner. Like, it was a haul up there. And we would go, get candy and come home. And it was on a major, state route. Like, the thought of letting my child do that in 5th grade now, I'm just like, there's no way. And so that podcast, they were kind of talking about that, how the way that they grew up and kind of without a lot of parental supervision kind of made them into these parents that you would kind of maybe call them helicopter parents. And so I was just...
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that being a latchkey kid turns someone into a helicopter? So to me, I don't think that being a latchkey kid would turn me into a helicopter parent. What would turn me into a helicopter parent is the evolution of technology.
I think the helicopter
Which
parent...
has nothing to do with the way I was raised. It was because of the technology that's now there, and the heightened focus on sex trafficking, the heightened focus on kidnapping. I mean, all these things that maybe I suppose it probably happened when we were growing up. You just didn't hear about it,
right?
And I don't think it happened with nearly the frequency that it happens today. Unfortunately,
probably not as much access to it. But no, I agree with you. I think you're right. Like, it really is the access to the information and knowing what's happening that I think would have, if I was a helicopter parent, that's why. It wasn't because I was left alone. And I think that's kind of what they were talking about, especially the female, the mom in general was talking about her trauma. And I didn't necessarily take it as my parents not being real parental. I don't want to say they weren't parental. They just weren't on top of you all the time. I didn't take that as a trauma for me, or my mom not being there, because my mom was a single mom for a while and had to work. I didn't take that as a trauma that she wasn't there for me when I, got off the bus in the afternoons or something like that.
Yeah. And I only remember being without a parent, if you will, right after school. You know what I'm saying? In other words, in the evenings, we were always going to eat family, dinner as a family, then we go to practices together. My dad coached me, my mom coached, so I wasn't ever, I wasn't hey, we're going to go out and have dinner tonight. We're going to go to a party. And next thing you know, my parents are getting back at midnight.
Yeah, same.
You know what I mean? Neither one of them were big social.
Once they were home, they were home.
Yeah. So from that respect, I don't even think anything about the hour and a half that I was there by myself, or whatever the case.
It's hard to imagine you at home. It's hard to imagine your parents not being around. For whatever reason, my perception of Becky and Johnny Cage, they were just always there.
Yeah.
There wasn't, and they didn't go through what I went through, which having a single mom that had to work and whatever. And I don't know why that is the image in my mind. That's what I think about. But
no, man, I think that's pretty accurate. It was a very stable household, and my dad went to work from 8 to 5 every day. My mom went to work she went to work earlier. I remember that, but because she would always be gone in the morning. My dad would kind of leave as we're kind of leaving, and because that's kind of the other piece of it, is we were responsible for getting up and.
Yeah.
If you're going to eat breakfast, or because they were typically already on the way out the door. But yeah, when you got back and they got back, it was okay, we're dinner, we're practice, we're homework, we're everything together. So
I got to where in high school it was I would, if I didn't have practice, or even if I did have practice, a lot of times I would be walking home or waiting on my mom to come pick me up. But on the days that I didn't have practice for whatever reason, I would go ahead and like start dinner. Like I was the one doing dinner, so that dinner was done by the time she got home.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Like, I would like to think I helped do dinner, but I don't think that I did.
No, there's no way.
I don't think I did, and I think Ange might have helped with like spaghetti. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel pretty confident in saying that it was Mom would get home, homework would be done, she would cook, I'd eat, we'd go to baseball practice, basketball practice, soccer practice, you know, all the things. But yeah.
Did you ever have the feeling of not knowing whether like your parent doing like an out of let's say an away game or whatever, and you know there's no cell phone, so like you just in the morning you left, like you saw your parent, they're like, okay, I'll see you at the game tonight, or I'll try my best to get to the game tonight, you know, because if it's out of town, like they're not leaving work early. My mom didn't leave work early to go to like my volleyball games. It was, you know, hopefully, you know, JV plays first, and by the time, depending on how far away it is, from the time she leaves work at 5 or 5:30, she can get there before hopefully the game starts. And so, but you know, I remember like, you know, warming up and looking around. I'm like, okay, is, you know, Mom coming? Did Mom show up? If Mom didn't show up, then I guess I just knew to go home on the bus that night.
Yeah, you know, for some reason, like, I don't really remember. First of all, in elementary school, that age, that wasn't really
Not
applicable. You're talking high school and stuff like that. And I honestly can't.
Even junior high.
I honestly can't recall that. I don't think the out of town thing was that big of a, like, you just didn't have like junior high, it was all in county. High school, you started doing some stuff, and I remember riding the bus back, but I never really, I guess, kind of doubted whether or not my parents would be there or not. But, you know, when you're old enough to drive, you're parking at the school, so when the bus gets back, you're just driving home or whatever. But for some reason, I feel like I have a much more vivid memory of elementary, junior high, and I think I have less memory of high school. And I think that's partly because I think when you get into high school, it's somewhat natural to kind of maybe separate from your parents a little bit, because you get a girlfriend and, you know, you're consumed with them.
Oh,
and
God, please, let's talk about your girlfriend.
You're consumed with social life and all this other stuff, and the parents kind of get pushed to the wayside. But the other thing is I feel like from a sports standpoint, I went through what I would consider something pretty traumatic in high school from a sports standpoint. And so I think that, I don't know if like my mind just kind of blocks that period of time out a lot more than it does previous to that. So
that's interesting. They didn't talk about this, but I also saw this. And matter of fact, I thought this when I went to the mall to return those jeans the other day. I walked in that mall, babe, and it is just like ghost town.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, what day did I go? What day is today? Thursday?
Wednesday.
I mean, I went on like Wednesday. I mean, it was just ghost town. I walked in, I'm like, my God, I remember the feeling of being like, I don't know, early 20s, maybe in high school, and like going to a mall. I guess maybe when I came down to Georgia, because we didn't really have malls near us, it would be a several-hour drive. So when I came down to Dad's in the summertime and going to the Macon Mall, like
the Macon Mall was the shit. But even like we called it the Houston Mall, which is where the hospital, part of the hospital is now. But you used to have Barrel of Fun up there, which is like an arcade, which is freaking amazing. You had Eckerd Drugstore.
Not Eckerd's.
But it was a drugstore, but it was like a little store too.
Yeah.
And you had a sports place called Wall Sports. I remember every 10th pair of shoes you get a free pair. And so my sister and I both played sports, so we always had basketball shoes and cleats, and so we racked up on that pretty quickly. But I remember you used to always get a Wall Sports t-shirt too, like if you spend so much money. And like having that Wall Sports t-shirt was like a status thing. You know what I mean? It was, and they were bright colored and shit. I mean, it was pretty awesome. But I think
so their marketing was on point. They knew what they were doing.
It really was.
Before.
And it would be funny because if you walked into it now, you'd probably be like, this store sucks. But back then it's kind of like Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Like when you walk into Toys R Us, you're like, this
amazing.
is magical. And now you're just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. But there was also, I think it was called Starship Records, where you go buy single tapes. And, this, I think probably even before CDs. But here was something funny I heard today. I saw a meme. What was the name of, you remember the catalog that you used to be able to get like 12 CDs for like 12 pennies or whatever? You remember the name of it? Anyways, whatever it was, somebody said something along the lines of, the news just released that DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, is starting to collect on whatever the name of that was. Snorted. So if you have outstanding charges for your CDs, you better pay up or something like that. I mean, I died laughing. What was it? It's some reason Castaways in my head, but I know that I don't know why. There's no way that's right. But anyhow, but you remember that, right? Here's another core memory I have of my childhood, and this might just tell you how boring we were as kids. But there used to be this station on TV. It was called the Jukebox. And I don't know if y'all had it up there in Ohio or not. But
was it CDs for free or just CDs?
CDs. I mean, a lot of them were Columbia House, yes. So you could get like 12 for $12 or, it was like cheap. Like
multiple CDs for free.
There you go. So anyhow.
They were known for their marketing schemes.
They were amazing. And they would get you because there was like
They said they would send you. There was
like a membership.
Often send you ones that you did not request.
And if you didn't send them back, you got charged for them. So they knew what they were doing. But anyhow, it says Doge is starting to collect on Columbia House. So I died when I saw that.
Not this Reddit thread that says folks who are old enough to remember Columbia House.
Oh, AKA boomers. No, we're not boomers, but I remember. But there was a station called Jukebox, and it was like a music station where you could pay like 99 cents to hear a song or whatever. But I remember a song would pop up, and then number 2, and then number 3, and then Ange and I on a Friday night or whatever night it was, we would literally play a game where, like, if number 1 popped up, whoever could start singing it the fastest won until the screen reset, and then you do it again. And like, number 1, no, you can't, because if you messed up, that was like a penalty.
Wait, you guys would go somewhere and do this?
No, you watch it on TV. It was a TV station. So we'd just be watching, and then like if you knew song number 1 or didn't know it, you wouldn't say anything, and then song number 2, and like whoever yelled it out. And like, but you'd have to sing it. You couldn't just say what the song was.
I can't imagine the Kilcos making something into a game.
Kind of competition. But anyways, that was like entertainment on a budget. You know, you didn't have to spend, because we never paid for the songs, but that was just part of it. So
man, yeah, the mall was amazing. I remember the food court. The food court was freaking amazing.
Yeah. Going to the Macon Mall was like a treat. It was like going to Applebee's on a date night back then. You know what I mean?
It was so amazing. But anyway, I walked in the house, I guess the Galleria Mall, and it was just like ghost town. Yeah. I'm just thinking, first of all, like, how is this place still here? How is it surviving? And
even when you go at Christmas, it's still not. I mean,
it's so sad because I feel like that's the way it is across America, though. Like, I feel like all the malls, I'm like, where are we shopping now? Where are we getting the type of feeling that it used to give me?
You get it from an Amazon package coming to your front door.
Oh, but it's just not. I mean, you do, but it's also not the same. Yeah. It's not the same as walking around, and I do love to shop and walk out with those
some
things.
of the, like, the Perimeter and Lenox and stuff like that, and we've been there recently, and those are still okay, but not nearly to the extent that they used to be. But around the holidays, they will pick up because you got people who wait till the last minute and that kind of thing. But it's quite sad, honestly. You know,
it is.
And honestly, and what's crazy, I thought about the irony in this is Walmart. Believe it or not, if you compare Walmart today versus Walmart from 15 years ago or 10 years ago, it does not have nearly the traffic it used to have. Like Christmas time, it used to be absolute bonkers. And I thought to myself, I wonder if the Walton family ever says, to hell with Amazon. You know, they ruined us. They, you know, knowing good and well that that's exactly what Walmart did to mom and pop shops.
I doubt it, because Amazon, you can now go on to the things that you buy. Wait, hold on, let me rewind. I mean, Walmart's selling things online. It pops up and you wouldn't think that it's an Amazon, that it's a Walmart Walmart seller. God almighty, can't even
So they've had to evolve, is what you're saying.
Yeah, fuck yes, yes, they've had to evolve. But interesting. And then, so we are on the way up to the mountains. And it literally was a 3.5 hour drive, even though I think it might have taken us 4.5 hours. Traffic was...
Are we talking about our trip now?
Yes.
Okay.
Our trip was pretty bad. And typically on any trip that we take nowadays, you load up the iPad with shows for us to watch, right? Because it goes by so much faster watching a show. And we had only watched, I don't know, we only downloaded so many. So we didn't have enough. We ran out. And then we're just like, what do we do? We're so bored. I was like, I'm looking around. I'm like, this is the most boring thing ever. And it made me flash back to my days when I had to drive up and down, from Ohio to Georgia. And all I had was a freaking Walkman. All I had was a Walkman.
What was your biggest entertainment?
My mixtapes.
When you were riding with your family, there should only be one answer here.
Are you going to say that game, the ABC game?
Absolutely. 100%.
We didn't know. My parents weren't that into...
Y'all.
Right.
They were too into
Mom
themselves.
and Gary were like, not really. Not really into playing that.
Well, that would be too much excitement.
That would be a lot of excitement for them.
The other side was they were too into themselves.
Yeah. So, but I was thinking also about... the first time that I rode on a plane by myself. So being from divorced family, I was constantly, going back and forth. I would come spend, a week or so in the summer with Dad, and then I would go back and then really wouldn't see him again until Christmas. I saw him twice a year. That was it. And, the difference that made, I wonder, like, did that have an effect on me of, that's why I'm like, so is it really my human design, or did any of that play a part into I'm really okay kind of being by myself and not having that much interaction with people? Like, just because that became such the norm when I was at such a young age. And then I remember like getting on a plane and flying. Like Aaron and I, Mom would walk us to the gate. This is crazy.
This is,
pre 9/11, obviously. You walk people to the gate, you put them on the gate, you tell them bye, and you leave. And then, Mom doesn't know that we made it there until hopefully, my dad or somebody answers, because we didn't have cell phones.
At the actual house.
Yeah, you didn't have cell phones either. You just hope that, you do watch the flight. She could watch that and make sure that it landed or whatever, but you didn't really talk to us again until, we hopefully answered at the house.
And see, that part's crazy to me, is the flying by yourself thing. In fact, I think until I was an adult, I think I flew one time, and one of these, I can't even tell you the company, had this deal where you could fly to like Charlotte, North Carolina. It was short flight. I mean, you're up and then you're down. And I remember my dad getting all of us tickets, and he was as proud as, this is a big fucking deal that we're all going to get on a plane. And we flew to Charlotte, and that was the only time I had ever been on a plane.
Really?
And until I got to adult.
I guess there was no reason for you to be.
No. But it was just, I just remember that being such a big deal, and it was such a big deal to him to do that, which I guess back then it probably was. It wasn't cheap to do.
I remember
like
putting Jackson on a plane, and I was trying to remember how old he probably was, but I'm guessing he probably was.
Was this to Ohio?
Yeah. You and I were together, and I'm trying to decide. I guess we were married.
If I had to guess, he was probably like 8 or 9.
Yeah,
something like that.
And I was able. I don't think I was able. No, I know I wasn't, because it was after 9/11. Duh. I couldn't walk him to the gate.
I think I
had to literally leave him, put him in someone else's care, the care of the airlines.
I remember that
because you couldn't go. Like, I don't think you could go all the way. Or maybe you could get a pass and go through security anyway.
You went to a certain port. I remember that. But I remember you telling me you had to hand him off at some point too.
And that was freaking wild. That was scary also, because you're like, oh my God, I'll just sent my kid on this plane and hope that he makes it.
I bet he was a nervous wreck.
Oh, for sure.
My gosh,
He was nervous about tying this darn tie. He was so worried about he didn't have a haircut to go to this funeral.
You're talking about the funeral this week?
This past week.
Okay.
He didn't have a haircut. He was like, is Kent there? Is he going to be at this funeral? Because I need him to tie this tie. I can't get this tie tied. And I'm like, no, I don't know if he's going to make it or not, but I can YouTube it once we get to the funeral home or whatever. I can help you. And he's like, no, freaking no. That's kind of all I hear is that phone hangs up. And so like, I can immediately pick up on his stress which is crazy. I'm like, it's fine. Whatever you're wearing is going to be fine. Shut up. Why are you looking at me like that?
Why do you think I'm looking at you like that? If you had one guess.
Because I know he's like that. What do you mean?
Why is he like that?
Well, that's a good question. Why is he like that? Well, you seem to.
Because his mom is like that.
No.
You are identical, and he is identical to you when it comes to that.
I don't think so.
No, absolutely.
Well, I wasn't stressed about what I was wearing.
Well, yeah, okay. First of all, you're almost.
And I just threw something on.
Yeah, but okay. Maybe not about what you're wearing, but there are plenty of times where you assume the worst. Your anxiety kicks in. You're thinking like, and I'm just like, this is not that big of a deal. Just
When's
chill.
the last time that happened?
It's been a minute.
You accuse me of stuff like that all the time.
Oh, really? How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel when I act as though that's the way you are now? When you let's say it's been 5 years since you've done that. Tell me the truth. See, you can dish it, but you can't take it.
Sure.
Exactly.
Sure.
So, what would you say are 2, 3, whatever? Like, what were your favorite things about your parents? Whether or not it was Bertie and Gary or Keith and Lisa, like, what were your favorite things?
My favorite things?
Yeah.
Like memories?
Yeah, or the way you were treated, or things that were done. Like for example,
I can't think of that right now. You go first.
Like me, I knew without question, without any question whatsoever, my parents were always going to be at my sporting events. A lot of times they were coaching. My dad was a physical coach. My mom was the brains behind the operation. But I, without doubt, never for a second thought that neither one or both of them were not going to be at my games. And when you're growing up, like, especially when you just kind of learn that's what you expect, it's maybe not until later that you have an appreciation for it.
Yeah, I would say that for the most part, I feel like that was Mom, even though I can remember 1 or 2 times where she probably missed a game. And she may have not always been there, like, for the entire game. Like I said, I don't
work.
Yeah, like, I made sure, like, I was always leaving work early for Jackson's games. Like, I made sure I was there the entire time. Like, he knew when that game started, he could make eye contact with me. I was there. Like, I didn't necessarily feel like I had that all the time. But for the most part, that would be my mom. My dad never came to see a game ever. He never saw me play. I take that back. The senior year, was it senior year? Anyway, the all Ohio games, he and his family came up to visit, I guess, and they did come see those games wherever they were. I don't even remember, but and I think maybe they came to Apple Festival one year. That might have been the same year. It was very interesting. But it was strange. It was so strange because I'm like, by that point at senior year, I felt like you don't even know me and I really don't know you, but yet you're coming to watch me play. It was so strange. It was such a weird feeling. Such a weird feeling.
I think the other thing that you learn to appreciate it more as I've gotten older is my mom was always the buffer in our family. And what I mean by that is my dad could sometimes have a short fuse. He didn't have a bad temper, but he had a short fuse sometimes. And my mom was always really good at interjecting. Like when she could see a way a conversation was going, she would step in, quiet him down, quiet me down. And she just had a way of knowing how to fix it. Or if I was frustrated or mad or whatever, she would always just kind of pull me to the side and say, I'll take care of your dad. Don't worry about it. And she was the same way with Ange too. But that's probably a motherly trait to a certain extent, but I always knew and I could always count on it. but I don't think I really understood and appreciated until I got older into adulthood and maybe even had a kid and that kind of thing, where it's like, okay, that was a big part of that family dynamics that just kind of kept our family together.
Well, and now that you say that, I'm thinking about how it played out in our life, but my experience, I didn't have that experience at all because my mom was really the only one that I truly felt like I interacted with. Like, I didn't have any of those kind of situations with my dad because we didn't talk. And Gary was, I don't think mom brought him in. I don't think he really tried to come in. I think maybe he was always because he was a principal. So he was always on the phone. He always had stuff going on after school and in the night.
He was coaching and stuff like that. Yeah.
And so I don't ever recall. First of all, we weren't difficult children. Like Aaron and I were very low key, very, like, we didn't get in trouble. We didn't really test, I would say, the waters much. So don't really feel like there was a lot of opportunity for him to come in, but also don't really feel like we had a ton of interaction either, if that makes sense. And I'm kind of like you from the standpoint of, did we not? And do I just not remember? Or do I just not remember and we did? I don't know.
Well, I think Gary, is more of a traditionalist too. I kind of envision, because like in the generation where he grew up, and I'm sure his dad was like this, it was like the guy worked, the husband worked, he come home, he sat down, he ate dinner, he went and watched TV, he went and read a magazine, he went and did whatever he was going to do. And
that's probably what it was. Gary didn't do those things. He came home, he ate dinner, and then he immediately went back to go work. He was either doing it in the yard, he was working on the car, he was fixing something, building something. He never sat down. So the only time we probably did really see him was at the dinner table, and he doesn't talk through while he's eating. Like, he eats, he's done, he's gone. Like, it wasn't,
I remember
there was no conversation at the dinner table. So I guess that's probably where that comes from. And now that I'm thinking it through, like, it's a very different experience that you and I had, because I literally just had my mom. And even mom, I don't recall mom, she wasn't a big talker either, I feel like. So
she was a good listener, but not a big talker.
Yeah, I think it was Chad and Ryan picking on Aaron or me for the most part, and, us probably talking back to them. But I remember sitting down and having dinners. I don't really remember having a lot of conversation at dinner.
Yeah. I remember the first time we had dinner around Gary and Bertie. I don't remember where it was at. I just remember him, because I'm an independent. Like I feel like I'm an independent guy.
Yes. The house in gray. I feel like
Maybe.
I remember this
Anyways,
exact
he sat down
situation.
at the table, and I'm like, I'm looking around like, I'm getting ready to make my own plate, my own drink, whatever. And he's sitting at the table, and I'm thinking, is he gonna get up and like make it? No, he's not. His ass sat at that table. Bertie made him a plate, took it over there.
Yes.
Bertie made him a drink,
Yes.
took it over there. And I'm just sitting here
yes.
thinking to myself, what in the whole?
Yeah.
Like that was so.
I think thinking back about it, I remember this so vividly now that you're saying it, that I think I probably had some resentment towards him and probably towards her, because she did cater to him, and I felt like waited on him hand and foot. And I understand that's kind of what she saw her mom and her dad do. That's it is. I know it is, because we've had the conversation before. But I think to some degree I somewhat resented that, because I think it felt so focused on him that I can't honestly tell you that I feel like...
How could there be a focus on you? Yeah.
I don't feel like we had a real close relationship. And I think maybe that's why it was a little easier for me to leave the nest. I moved away, when I was 21 years old, which that was not easy, but I did it. And, moved from Ohio to Georgia, and that's where I stayed, and was never around my mom again until they moved here, to help with Jackson for a little while. And at that point, that's when our relationship got closer. But it was after I'd already had, I was 25 years old. So prior to that, I would not say that we had a real close relationship. And maybe that's why I feel like I probably, if you talk about being a helicopter parent or trying to be extremely involved with your kid, I probably tried to do that and focus so much on him because I didn't feel like I had that. I think I felt a little bit, I don't want to say neglected, but I think I probably missed some of that.
And I imagine when you think about
longing for some of
when
that.
you think about like that traditional kind of household, I think that was common. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and they just
sure.
carried over into y'all. But
sure.
I guarantee you, with his parents and her parents, it was 10 times worse.
Oh yeah.
And then with his, it was even worse. And that's
my dad was the same. My dad would always, he would say children should be seen and not heard. I mean, like he literally 100% was that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. The whole thing, all the dynamics, the different dynamics that I went through versus what you went through, because I think you did experience more of a traditional 2-parent household, which brings so many other things than I felt like that I had. And I think some of those things without meaning to, just carried over naturally.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I appreciate now as an adult, probably more so than I did, is like my mom always seemed to know when to get involved and when not to get involved. And she was always right. I mean, I think that's just a lot of moms. It's like, you're always right. But she was really good at balancing when I needed some input versus when I just need to build a vent, or when I need to or when she needed to interject her opinions and positions on things. And it's, I lost her, I guess, 2009. Mm-hmm. I think is when she passed, and that was right when we were getting married or whatever. So let's just say I was 30 years old. I don't know, but there's plenty of times where over the last 16, 17 years, I'm like, I wish I had that knowledge, especially raising Lauren. I think that, there's a lot of stuff, and we've shared some stuff on here, but not nearly to the extent of everything over the last 16 years. And it's just like, I can't help but to think how things would be different, especially with Lauren, if my mom was here and as Lauren was growing up and she had the opportunity to kind of help in ways that I just didn't know what to do or didn't know how to do it and that kind of thing. But again, as an adult, you look back and you're like, man, that was a very special skill set. And I think as a parent, like watching you, I think that's something that you're really good at too. I think that you're not that helicopter parent, but you know when to interject, you know when to give your opinion without it being unwanted and unwarranted. And I think that that's probably why you have the relationship you have with Jackson today, where he comes to you for so much stuff, because he obviously values your opinion and your perspective and your insight and that kind of thing. So I'm glad. Like, I joke with you guys about, oh, here he's calling again, whatever. But there's a huge amount of respect that y'all have that relationship too. So.
I don't know what this is all making me emotional all of a sudden. Like, I want to cry. So I don't know what's going on, but I do know we've been here.
But this is our child. I mean, this has helped establish who we. And honestly, we could probably talk about this for another 2 or 3 episodes, because there's other stuff that's going in my mind now that I'm like, I could talk about this now, but obviously we got to end it at some point. But I wouldn't mind revisiting this, because I think this is really, really important, and I think it's important for the kids to kind of get their perspective and that kind of thing. And this is one of those things where, when I'm gone one day, and this is on YouTube, this is obviously before I really got fired. It's on YouTube. Like, I would love for my kids to be able to go back and listen to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because I would love to if my mom was here today, I'd love to be able to hear her perspective on a lot of stuff. So, cool. Sure. I didn't expect this conversation, but
I didn't either.
This was good stuff.
It was good stuff. I was hoping that we would have time to talk about Paradise, but we're just going to have to leave that for now.
Yeah, we'll table it. But let's get back to some of this conversation. I don't know if it'll be the next episode or not, but I think it's important that you talk through some of this stuff.
Yeah, because I'm like crying.
I can see that. I can see that. I love you.
I love you too.
Am I still talent?
I don't know.
Am I still talent?
No.
I'm fired?
I don't know.
Let's
talk about that later.
Would you agree to put it up to a vote?
Yes, let's put it up to a vote.
If our listening audience says he's got to go,
yes,
then I'll go gracefully. But if they say no, we need Kent as talent, then I'll stay. And it may just be a hunch. We've had several people say, "When's Kent coming back on?" So I have a feeling I know where this is going to go. But all right,
it's dinner time.
Please do not do your beep. Please do not do it.
Oh, we got to talk about that too. Freaking A.
What?
Cringe.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Okay. All right. Bye.
See y'all.